Now, like Bernie Sanders, for example, what do you think of what he's talking about during the race? And do you agree with a lot of what he wants to do?
I love it. Bernie, I can't tell you how many times Bernie stood up in our Democratic caucus and said, the American people want us to be bold. The American people want us to do this. And then he threw himself out there to test the proposition that he'd been announcing. And sure enough, he's getting 20,000 people showing up to hear him. So good on him.
Now, Jim Webb, he said, great ideas, but Congress will never pay for them. The ideas he wants to do, social programs, for example. Do you agree with that? Are his ideas too expensive, right?
Well, I think, there's nothing wrong with swinging for the fences. If he were ever to be elected, I think he'd have to work with people who disagreed with him and find a way. But when you're dealing with things like being able to retire and security in your old age and being able to get a decent college education, that's kind of baseline stuff that we ought to be helping people with, and then the returns will come from their success and from their confidence in their futures. So I don't want to start chasing decimal points around Bernie's numbers. I think he's making really strong points about the direction that we should go. And
last question for you. Hillary, do you think she's going to continue to rise, her support's going to increase, or will her email scandal, for example, hurt her?
No, I think most of that is over. You got to understand that looking at the field that the Republicans have and looking at how strong Hillary is and how well regarded she is, they've got to try to smear her and drag her down. So there's always going to be some faux scandal that's being cooked up. That's just the nature of modern politics. But nobody has weathered more of this faux scandal attack than Hillary, and no one is more qualified in this field. In fact, no one's even close. And so I think she's going to continue to rise, continue to do well, continue to shake off the critics and the scandal mongers, and be a really, really good first woman president.
Trump is rising, though. Trump fever, right? Look at SNL, he had the highest ratings.
If we keep this up with Trump and Carson, who knows? We might find whole segments of the Republican Party defecting to vote with Hillary.
You think so? It seems
I got some colleagues on the Senate floor who might come over to us.
So you think they're out of step even with the mainstream Republican Party, like the donors and
Yeah, some of them are pretty out there. And frankly, in the Senate, the biggest rows, the biggest battles, the biggest hatreds are all Republican on Republican. That warfare within their party and within their caucus is the most acrimonious part of politics in Washington right now. Democrats and Republicans get along reasonably well as they ever have. I mean, we're adversaries. But in terms of the hatreds and the high emotion, that's the battle within the Republican family that they have not yet sorted out.
It seems like there's a battle going on with the base. You've got the mainstream candidates like Jeb Bush, for example, who can't get the support that he needs. And then you've got Trump or Carson who don't have all the support they're going to need necessarily at this time.
And who stand the risk of not getting one more vote in the general election than they got in the Republican primary. They will have completely exhausted their voter base in the Republican primary and have nothing left when it comes to reach out to independent voters, Latino voters, young voters, all of that. So the Republican Party's got a little bit of a predicament for itself.